Hello, everyone, and welcome to One World, One Blood Bowl number 59. People that play too much Blood Bowl. I'm thrilled to have reached number 59 and to say that we've got the next three all lined up. Number 60 is hopefully going to be Would Blood Bowl Coaches Lie to You? We're just going to steal that quiz show format from UK TV and we're going to do it about Blood Bowl. Number 61, I hope, is going to be about the different formats. There's some incredible new formats going live on Fumble at the moment. Not only the Black Box Trophy, which is hugely popular, and of course the huge league scene and secret league there, but there's a whole new meta tournament gone live, and seasons have gone live for all competitive teams on Fumble. So it's high time we talked about that. At the same time, Blood Bowl 3's had some innovation with Arena and some other stuff going on there. So I think it's a really good time just to examine what formats there are around in Blood Bowl and what differences and what we make of them. And then the one after that, because we had a request after the painting one, and I talked about it on a stream, and instantly several other people volunteered. We're going to have a One World, One Blood Bowl about sculpting and kit bashing. I confess, another part of Blood Bowl I know nothing about. So that's going to be another interesting and challenging one for me. So this is number 59. We have 60, 61, and 62 all ready to go, all lined up on the runway. So if you have ideas for me for after that, other things you want me to talk about or tackle, do let me know. But this is number 59. Let's crack on with it. So I've titled this People That Play Too Much Blood Bowl. If you haven't heard the story, my good friend Volcajo, also known as Timo, has played 300 games of Blood Bowl in 2023 and 2024 live at tabletop events. He is also going to Water Bowl in the near future. If you see him there, give him a big hug from me and tell him to come back to us, please, baby, come back. Because Timo says that's going to be his last games of tabletop Blood Bowl. He says he's quitting. Now, I thought that was interesting, and I thought maybe 300 games in 2 years was perhaps too much Blood Bowl and has perhaps burnt him out. I hope what happens is he takes a break and then he comes back to us. He's a lovely man with a great mind, great at Blood Bowl, and will be a huge miss if he does really leave the community. So I thought, let's talk to three other people that have played way too much Blood Bowl and see if this is a recurring problem. If we're going to start losing people, should we set a cap on how much Blood Bowl we allow people to play before it just gets to be too much Blood Bowl? And if not, what does playing 100 games of tabletop Blood Bowl in a year do to you? What do you learn? What do you think? What does it make you want to do or not do in the following year? We're now in that following year. This is 2025, and I'm talking to three of the massive tabletop players of 2024. So, welcome back, my good friend who I met at the Europen in Athens, Grave. Hello, nice to have you on again.
Hello. Good evening, everyone.
And also up in the top right, we have GreenskinPhil, known as Chris, but I'm sure he has other names too, but probably only between him and his partner. Welcome back on the show.
Good evening. How are we?
I'm very good. I hope you are. And then to my side, we have Torquemada, new on One World, One Blood Bowl. I don't think we've had you on before, have we?
No, I have not been there before. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, so fantastic. These guys all played a lot of Blood Bowl in 2024. We will talk about that. But the first thing I'm going to ask them is how their 2025 is going. Mine's going really well. The family are recovering from a tough early January, I have to say. We've had a lot of problems. I've spoken about some of them. A cousin of mine died, and there's been a lot of illness in the family, and some of that's ongoing. But things seem to be on the up now. We seem to be recovering from some of that and heading forwards. And I've had some great news, which is I've been selected to represent Team England at Blood Bowl in 2025, which I'm really looking forward to. It does mean I will be going to Hungary, which I confess if I wasn't in Team England I probably wouldn't be. But I'm also looking for other opportunities to play Blood Bowl this year. Last year, as you know, I had a job, and that meant I was limited in the amount of Blood Bowl I played. I do hope that happens again, but if it doesn't, I'll be hoping to get out and about more. I did manage 30 games of Blood Bowl in 2024, which was fun. One of them I even snuck in the middle of my acting tour, a lovely tournament, the Home Nations tournament, which I'm hoping to be back at again with Team England this year. So my 2025 has started very well. I have yet to play any tabletop Blood Bowl, but I have played some online on both Fumble and Blood Bowl 3. And my first tabletop tournament will be in Bromley next Saturday. And I love the people of Bromley. I love the Blood Bowl there. It's a fabulous venue, a lovely little shop. And I'm really looking forward to that. So, Torquemada, let's start with you. You're new on the show. Hello, welcome to One World, One Blood Bowl.
Yeah. Thank you.
How's your 2025 Blood Bowl going so far?
So, I was at a tournament just today, actually. So I was in 2 Dare at High Wycombe. For those of you who don't know, is guy called No Number, who's been on the show a few times, so probably everybody who's listening will have heard of him. Yeah, and he's running. He runs a 2-dare doubles. So I was there with my partner, and then yeah, that's the first tabletop. I think no, I didn't. I did one a couple of weeks ago as well, and then I've just been playing a ton of arena on BB3. So yeah, it's been quite busy.
You mentioned your
starting
partner.
as we meet.
Her name escapes me at the moment, but
Maria,
Maria.
Meth
Maria.
Sports. She's in the chat now as well.
she's a renowned artist, but also a Blood Bowl player. I mean, that's a very unusual thing. Does that impact, do you think, on your Blood Bowl?
Well, yeah. How do you think I get away with playing that many games in a year, right?
It was going to be one of the questions I asked. Is how many tournaments have you dragged this poor woman to?
I have not dragged her to any tournaments. She chooses to go of her own free will because she loves the game and loves the people. So yeah, and I would never, try and drag her in. But I did, do put some effort into trying to get her into the game. But yeah, no, it's she's been to most of the ones. I think she's on. She cracked 100 games. I think she was on 100 and something last year. So not quite as many as me, but she does turn up to quite a lot.
And I had you down for, what was it, 180? 183, that's the number you claim.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is, yeah, and that's NAF games against. I think there's a couple more because there's a couple that were against non-NAF opponents, and that was before they changed it so that registered. And that's on 11s on tabletop. But there's then some other NAF, like there's some 7s and some online NAF tournaments that don't count for the number. So I think that the actual numbers close is into the 200s. But if it's just 11s and just on tabletop and just NAF, yeah, it's 183.
183 games in 2024. Wow, fantastic. And beating the notable high mark of Volcajo the year before, which I think was 176.
Correct.
Is that something you deliberately set out to do?
No, I didn't. And I feel a bit bad about that because Volcajo himself asked me at one point. He said, "Oh, you're getting quite. You're not gunning for my record, are you?" And I genuinely wasn't at the time. And I said, "Nah, mate, you can have it. You can have it. I don't want it." And then and then after Euro Open, I was like, look, that's quite a lot of games. And I had a lot of separate people ask me, "Oh, you're pretty close to the record. You could go for it." I was like, maybe. And then after like the fourth person says, go on then. And at that point, yeah, I just calculated how many I needed, threw in a few extras in case something fell through, and yeah, it so happened that none of them fell through. And it also happened that I miscounted, so I had a couple extra in there, and yeah, I think around, yeah.
Were you targeting 177?
Yeah, I was, but yeah, as miscounted a little bit, and went over, but yeah, it's yeah, it was good.
And we'll see. There's something we'll talk about in a minute as to whether we think that will ever be beaten. Chris, hello, welcome back on One World, One Blood Bowl.
Hello, Dave. Hi.
We've chatted before and characterised you as a new face in Blood Bowl. I mean,
Indeed.
A beautiful young man that you are.
Yeah, of course.
You got in, what was it, 140 odd last year?
I think the number on Mike's tableau is 149, but yes, I think it's in the 150s, somewhere in that kind of region. Yes.
And again, is that because of missing ones because of non-NAF members, or?
I would assume so. Yeah. I think there's different formats, right, depending on the tournament as well, whether it's Masters, standard 11s or not. But
right. Okay.
But,
so you did
yes, we're
gutter bowl or beach
it's
bowl
around
or
that number.
Okay.
Indeed. Yes. Yeah. And draft stuff as well. Right? So,
yeah. Well, I mean, as we all know,
yeah.
Mike counts as the official force of statistics. So if he says it's 149,
Absolutely.
That's the number I'm going with. Are you gutted to have missed 150?
No, to be honest.
Come on, it's a much better number, isn't it?
I don't know. 149 sounds pretty decent to me, mate. To be honest,
it's a big number.
No, I was never going to get anywhere near Carl's figure, and That's because, quite honestly, it's a hell of a juggle even getting to the, three figures, right? As far as life and family and my coaching, which doesn't involve little miniatures as well.
And how's your
So
25? Have you launched onto tabletop yet?
I haven't as of yet, mate. No, we are firmly in basketball mode, and this was kind of the same last year as well. So we was planning to be at the one down here, Barton Bowl, down on the south coast. Planned to be in London last week as well, but unfortunately rescheduled of games that we should have played before Christmas has put pay to that. So I will kick off hopefully at Liam's tournament up in Sheffield next Sunday. But to do that, to talk about the juggle, I'm coaching here Saturday afternoon. We'll then probably pick up this young man in Reading, I'm guessing, and we'll head up to stay at Liam's after that, then come back Sunday afterwards. So it's it's not without organisation, let's say, to try and get it in.
Okay, and Grave, how's your 25 going so far?
So,
And welcome to the show.
yeah, hello, David. So we had a local tournament last week here in Düsseldorf, in Hilden, to be specific, and I went with my Weed Elves, and I was lucky enough to get the first place.
Wow. So winner chicken dinner already in 25.
Yeah.
Now, you did, what was it,
While you're
about
ahead, mate.
119, 120 games last year?
Yeah. And the year before, I think I did that amount also.
So what inspired you to want to play that many games 2 years running? I mean,
Yeah, so as I've told before, I started Blood Bowl like 3 years ago, and I was very excited about the game. And I'm very fortunate to live in Düsseldorf, which is I have access in Germany, Netherlands, and Belgium.
mhm.
And
I think you
yeah,
need to be a
I
little
was
bit careful
looking
over Germany's access to the Belgium and Netherlands. They've got a record for that. But popping over to play Blood Bowl's fine.
yeah, and yeah, so they have tournaments over there, and I spread around.
You spread the joy.
Yeah, and I met a lot of people and stuff. It was very nice.
Excellent. Talking about that, being fairly new to Blood Bowl, Carl, how long have you been in Blood Bowl?
Yeah, I told you 3 years.
Sorry, the other Carl.
Yeah.
Torquemada.
So not very long. So I started. Well, my first game was years and years and years and years and years ago, but that was a horrible experience, and then I sort of swore off it for a long time. But I started playing again properly in 2022, end of 2022. I think no, 2020. I forget. I'm really bad with numbers with dates, but I think it was end of, yeah, it was end of 2022. Yeah, end of 2022. So yeah, about just over two and a bit years. Yeah, 2.5 years. Yeah.
So for an old sweat like me that's been playing Blood Bowl for 20 years, I mean, I would characterise all three of you as fairly fresh-faced young things in the world of Blood Bowl. Do you think it's a coincidence that you're that fresh in and putting this many games in?
No, it is not. I think I feel, and I know that Chris does as well. Like I'm sort of having to make up time because I know a lot of people who are in the hobby and are like competitive have been playing for decades sometimes, and it's a lot of reps. And yes, the game has changed. Yes, things are new, but it's the same game underneath, and you can tell, right, when somebody's got that experience and has been competitive that long. And I feel like if I want to play at that level, I need to get all those reps in right quick. So yeah, that's part of it. And I think, yeah, but also I think it's still there's still a lot that's fresh and new. Like there's still a lot of situations that I've never encountered. There's still a lot of teams matchups that I've never played, and some teams that I haven't played at all. I suppose as you get further in your Blood Bowl journey, that those new moments of newness become more and more scarce, so there's diminishing returns, I guess. But I don't know. I'll know when I get there.
Grave, same question really. Do you think it's partly that freshness that's driving you to play this number?
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I'm single with no commitments, and I'm in Germany, so most of my friends are in Greece, so I have a lot of free time. So that was my motivation. Like, yeah, you either sit home or you travel and play.
Okay. So yeah, as you said, so you're Greek actually for nationality,
Yeah,
aren't you? Yeah.
yes,
But
I am.
living in Germany, so as you said, no partner, no
The
commitments.
past 5 years, yes.
Yeah, so it makes it very easy to think, actually, I'll go somewhere where everyone will be my friend because we all play Blood Bowl.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that'll fill my weekend up.
yeah,
Well,
exactly.
that's nice. Chris, we've talked before about your coaching background, your sporting background. Um,
Mm.
is that what's driving you? This need to get the reps in to feel you've put the hard work in to really master something. You've been very open about
I mean,
your ambitions in Blood Bowl being very lofty.
absolutely. Yeah, no, and Carl's right. We've talked about it before in regards to the number of reps required to when you're playing catch up. I think the coincidence certainly is the amount of Blood Bowl that you can play at the moment, right? As well, I would assume. Well, yeah, it's right. There were more games played last year
Hmm.
outside of the World Cup here than there ever was. You can play every weekend if you wish to, if you're able to schedule. You can have other commitments and still put up some serious numbers there. But I mean, me personally, yes, I think the background. I'm fairly obsessive when I feel like I found something that I want and I go after it. So yes, I think there's a coincidence certainly in regards to the time that obviously I've come into this, but also if I'm going to do something, I do it. I don't half measures it. So the aim last year certainly wasn't numbers based or anything of that nature. Because of basketball coaching, I can't really uh,
I can
commit
only
to
casually do
anything.
150 Blood Bowl games.
But most of that probably in a 6 month period because January to March I'm absolutely spoken for, and the same kind of late September to through December as well, obviously as far as the season. So uh, for me to set out on a year and say I was going to play 150 games of Blood Bowl would have been ridiculous. It just worked out that way. And I think I said before, right, that doesn't help happen without the support I've got at home of the wife and the ladies who understand that I'm a competitive crazy,
Well, I mean, that's where I wanted to
frankly.
go next. I've told the story before of the first
Mm.
time I played tabletop. My Actually, the first time I played singles, the first time I went up on a train and played at the UKTC in a team. But the first time I went to a singles game, my partner dropped me at the tube, and as I got out of the car, I could hear her say under her breath, "Fucking nerd." Now, luckily at this point we had two preteen children, and I felt she was pot committed. There wasn't really much she could do. So, what's she going to do at that point when I reveal this hidden part of my world to her? But she's been extremely supportive since. She doesn't mind me getting out of the house. She sort of thinks it's good for me. We've talked already about Torquemada's lovely partner playing Blood Bowl and being really supportive there, and indeed doing fabulous Blood Bowl artwork left, right, and centre if asked. And Grave talking about the deep emptiness in his life that drives him to play Blood Bowl all over Europe. You have a non-Blood Bowl playing partner like myself, and you have, as you said, a very busy 6 months doing basketball and other things like that. When you said to her, those 6 months that we used to have weekends together and do all sorts of fun couple stuff, I'm now going to go all around the country playing Blood Bowl. How did that go down?
Um, the honest answer is Amy's probably seen it all before, right? I was lucky enough to meet Amy when I moved to the States for college to play basketball out there. So she has seen my obsessiveness in basketball. Certainly, when I packed it in, I've tried all kind of things, right? I've done the golf thing. I've yes, probably tried cards and stuff as well to a degree. So it's certainly something that she, not something that she hasn't seen before. I think Well, I was with a friend who I've known for decades yesterday, and I think she has confided to him that she's far happier about this than the golf for some reason. Probably because it makes me slightly less of a wanker, I'm guessing.
I mean, I wasn't going to say that
Yes,
about people that play golf, but it's kind of true, isn't it?
it certainly is.
And also the
It
trousers you
certainly
have to
is.
buy. There's no place for those in my wardrobe.
Oh, we could get away with some Rupert the Bear trousers. Of course, I can carry that off, Dave. Not a problem.
Well, maybe I'm at the age where I could consider that. Certainly a pair of red trousers tied up with string, I think might lie in my future, as they do for all men of a certain background in Britain. Okay, so is supportive partners, is a supportive life for this, is that part of how we've been able to get this done?
For me,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, like I've been lucky enough in the last year as well that I've been in a role that has given me a ton of flexibility. So I've been able to take holidays whenever I wanted. If I wanted to work abroad, then I could do that. So it's meant that I don't have to check with work. Just book in the tournament and off we go. So yeah, that definitely is important.
So that level of flexibility, that remote working and flexible working has allowed you that freedom. There's been no cost, no time you've had to turn something down because you're committed to Blood Bowl?
Yeah, I think if you asked my family, they'd be pretty annoyed that I haven't gone to visit them in the whole year. So yeah, there is that. Yeah, and certainly, it's taken its toll on my on work to a certain extent. I've not put perhaps as not been as focused when I've just had to coming back on a Monday morning after being doing a tournament again. Yeah, and just it does drain you a bit, right? Because there's so much thinking that you need to do. I mean, wait, you don't have to, right? You could just go and lose every game. But if you wanna do well, you have to think about your roster. You have to practice your team. You have to do all of that, and tabletop is quite intense. And then when you go out with this man over here, I think right above me, the nights after are also pretty bloody intense. When he takes you out and starts buying tequilas left, right, and center. So yeah, it does take a toll, and that makes everything else in life have
I
to
recall
sort of.
drunkenly walking through the streets of Alicante at 5 a.m. thinking, I'm probably quite a lot too old for this, before getting 2 hours sleep and going back and coaching 3 more games of Blood Bowl. There are some decisions to be honest, I'd probably take exactly the same ones again, wouldn't I? Because that's who I am. But they may not be the smartest decisions I've ever taken. Grave, has there been a cost to you?
Yeah, actually, it's what he said. Like when you go, especially in 2-day tournaments, so you work Monday to Friday, you go for the tournament, and then back Monday to work. You have
Yeah.
zero time to chill, especially if you're driving and stuff.
Yeah, so lots of travel as well outside of all of that
Yeah,
Blood Bowl. There's no
yeah,
downtime for you.
yeah, nothing.
Do you think
Like,
work suffers?
yeah, but to be honest, personally, I don't care so much because I will jump careers now. So yeah,
Well, let's hope none of your bosses watch One World, One Blood Bowl.
yeah.
Chris, the cost. What is this cost? Have you paid it?
There's financial cost, obviously, for starters. And again, right, I'm lucky that I own my own business, so the flexibility work-wise is there. I probably, although I'm sure at some point won't be able to, but I'm always more productive when I'm as active as possible. So if I could have 30 hours in a day, I would do. And relatively good at compartmentalizing different areas of my life. So I'd be lying if sometimes I'm not the greatest on a Monday morning, but yeah, look, like when it's Blood Bowl time, it's Blood Bowl time. When it's family time, it's family time. Basketball and work. So I try as much as possible to make sure that my various obsessions don't affect my ability to perform in those other areas.
Are we all happy with the word obsession here?
Yeah, I think it's fair.
For me. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Because if you're not, I've got some
Why
news
hide
for
it?
you. That's yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I think we'd be kidding ourselves, right?
Because a lot of the people, when I put the adverts out on Reddit, on Facebook, sometimes we get comments, sometimes we get suggested questions, which is always welcome, always fantastic. Most of these comments were, "These people are crazy. What are they doing? Or do they not have lives?" So even other people obsessed with Blood Bowl may not have this level of obsession. Do you think that's fair, that you're outliers amongst even the Blood Bowl madness?
Yeah. Numbers say it, right?
Yeah.
So they say yes. Very much so. Very much so. I
Yeah.
I think there is a certain amount of combining it as well. So obviously, my wife has come on a couple of trips this year. Me, Carl Maria, and her went to Copenhagen for a tournament and had a nice trip out there. We did Thrud together and so on as well. My brother plays obviously as well. Gives me an opportunity whenever I go Midlands to obviously spend time with him, but also my nephew's there as well.
Indeed, he was our MVP at the World Cup, wasn't he? He absolutely
Certainly
smashed
was,
it.
mate.
Yeah.
Certainly was. He's smashing it at the moment too. Bless him.
Good,
He's
lovely,
doing really well.
lovely guy. Really lovely guy.
Yeah.
And maybe not quite as self-promoting as yourself. A little bit quieter, but really, really nice guy. I really enjoyed spending time with him.
Yeah.
There is the issue that I want to deal with as nice and early as possible. Timo Volkajo, 300 games in 2 years. He says he's done. He was also a young man, came into Blood Bowl, caused a big stir, won lots of tournaments, ran tournaments, was a huge figure, both within the German community and also for Ladonia. I'm sure there's many people who have met him, played him, know about him. He's been on this show. He says he's done. Is that level of burnout? Is that something you guys are risking? And how do you feel about that? Do you feel burnt out? Do you feel like you really could do the rest? I mean, let's start with Chris. You're being enforced to have a rest, aren't you, for 3 months? Is that kind of feeling welcome?
It is. Again, I can only use parallels, right? By the time I was done playing basketball, I was burnt out. I'd played and trained sometimes multiple times a day for best part of 15 years by the time I was done. And it's only through my eldest daughter, against everything that me and my wife tried to get her involved with, taking up basketball, which then pushed me back into coaching. And
Here, try some drugs. Try hanging out by McDonald's and smoking. No, I want to play basketball, Dad. Let me.
Exactly. So yes, I have seen that before. I can remember a conversation in Greece with Gegster when he was saying that he's seen a number of people come in, play loads, and obviously burn out before they get to an end goal. It's a possibility. It's definitely a possibility. I think it's more dangerous for me if I ever actually get anywhere close to the goal that I wish, because if I actually get to accomplish some of the things I want with this, then it's resetting new goals.
But presumably, knowing you, that's number one in the NAF in the world, and MVP for Team England at a Euro Bowl, possibly a World Cup as well.
That's going to take a while, then, Dave, if that's the case.
Well, I mean, is it? That's the next thing I want to talk about. Carls, how do you feel about burnout? Is that a worry? Is it something you're feeling?
Yeah, it's not something I'm feeling at all. I mean, I think, but I can see how you would, because it's such an emotional game, right? Like it's such a cruel game sometimes where you can do everything right. And I'm not saying I do. I'm still learning, but sometimes you play a game where you're like, I did well, like I did all the things, and then your opponent just goes like, "Lol, 6+6+. I'll have your ball, 6+6+. You lose, haha." And that's the game, right? And it's a game with dice where the best players have 70 to 80% win rate. So there are 1 in 5 games where you're just going to lose, and
But that's your 48th tournament of the year, and you've travelled 3 hours to be there. That's their one tournament of the year, and they walked around the corner because it's their local one.
Yeah.
Does that make it harder?
Well, yes, a little bit. I'm not going to lie, but here's the thing: I've not travelled that far just to play that game. I've travelled that far with Chris and with Maria, and I know that this other friend's also there. So yeah, during the game I will not be happy, but then we'll go out, I'll sulk for a little bit, and then we'll have some drinks, and then maybe I'll meet my opponent later and we'll have a drink. And obviously I care about winning, and obviously I care about doing well. But if you let that be the sole focus, then you are going to burn out for sure. I think the key is combine it with other things, like Chris was saying. We went to Copenhagen to play Hargrim's tournament, and that was great. I think he's doing it again this year, and it was lovely because we got to stay there in Copenhagen, have a swim in the lake, enjoy the city, and then when I got absolutely mullered game 2 and 3, I didn't feel so bad because hey, we're doing other stuff.
Yeah, there were other upsides to that trip. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah,
burnout. Does it worry you? Are you feeling it? I mean, like myself, you're a man who enjoys a very relaxed attitude to life, I would suggest.
Yeah, maybe.
Do you think that helps? And do you feel burnout is a risk here?
Yeah, I don't know. To be honest, I am. I don't feel burnout. I'm very excited about my future matches because I'm like what I have played half of the teams that there are in Blood Bowl, and there is so much more to learn and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just want to play more and see more stuff and do more stuff, play more different stuff.
I mean, I would say the same. I'm 20 years in. I haven't played all of the teams. I think there's a couple I've never played. Snotlings, for example. I've never coached a game of Snotlings in my life, or gnomes.
Yeah,
So there's at least a couple of teams I've never touched. But I've been hitting a lot of online Blood Bowl over the years, but I've never done the level of commitment you guys have done. Is it a sensible choice? Would you advise others down this path that you have trodden? Is giving up your year, you're literally looking at the calendar going, right, how do I fit more Blood Bowl in? Is that a route to happiness?
yeah, sure. If you like the game and you are excited, I think it's a very good choice.
And is that because of the Blood Bowl or the people you meet or?
Yeah,
Well,
actually, it's for both. Like myself, I'm very fortunate. Like in most of the tournaments, it's guaranteed to find Peter there.
Peter D,
Yeah,
lovely
exactly.
legend of the German scene.
So yeah, for me, it's a win-win. You play and you have your friends there also.
Chris, same sort of question. What's the gain for you in this, and would you advise others to look for that gain?
I think to the level of games that we're talking about, unless you have the flexibility and the support to do so, no, I wouldn't advise it at all. It depends. It depends what your goals are, right? One of the things, certainly for me, is keeping the variety to it as well. If I was only going to the biggest tournaments and the most tight competitive rule sets, you stand the chance of that becoming quite repetitive and judging yourself only by your results in that. I do absolutely obsess over my results in the same way as I obsess about everything with it. But some of the most fun I had last year was playing that shit crazy stuff. In little bits, I think I said before, as far as trying to stay grounded with League, Blood Bowl, and stuff as well. I want to try and.
You've been playing League on top of all of this.
I have been playing League. I'm currently playing in my brother's League, which is round about 3.25 hours away from my house, as well as here as well. So
these are all good, sensible choices.
Good, sensible choices, but it does combine with my daughter, who's at Loughborough University, my eldest, and obviously seeing him and my nephews as well.
Yeah, so there's other games. Yeah.
This is it. But I think everybody's journey is different, right? And even if it's a competitive journey, you have to make that suit. Obviously, yes, your lifestyle, but what makes makes sense to you as well. While I think the reps obviously help bridge that gap quickly, it's not for everyone. And there is such a thing as just pounding Blood Bowl, whether it's online or in person, and getting worse. So it only works to any level if you have a certain amount of analysis afterwards of how you played and where you are looking to improve every time you go in. I think if you're just playing as many games as you can and expecting that is going to get you better, you're kidding yourself, right? The self-analysis needs to be there. The performance analysis.
But
needs
getting
to be
better
there
is
as
something
well.
you added, isn't it? I mean, some people play Blood Bowl because they enjoy playing Blood Bowl.
Yeah, I enjoy it immensely. I do enjoy it immensely. But if I'm going to compete at something, I compete at it because that's what makes sense to me, right? If I'm playing, I think you've said it before, right? If I'm playing my goblins, I'm playing my goblins because I think I can win a tournament with it. I'm not doing it because I want the stunty wahays. I'm going to have some wahays, but I'm trying to win. That's how I'm wired, right?
I think
So. Yeah, go on, Carl.
Talk.
so. Yeah, I was just going to say that the what you're saying about getting better, you're right in that Chris added it, but I think it's a big part of the obsession because you need to have something to drive you forward and keep you going when you have a bad game, or you're like, oh, do I really want to do this? But having that goal, whatever a goal is, right? You can set it wherever you want, but having that, it does help a lot to get those games in, to keep going. And I think realistically, if you don't care that much, you're not going to be playing this amount of games.
So would
Why
you recommend these choices to others? I haven't asked you, so let's get a definite yes or no.
Yeah. I would recommend it if you have a stable enough life and a stable enough environment and are mature enough to deal with the fallout of this, because as we said, it does impact your life. If you can deal with all of that, and because it's great, it's a lot of fun. I've massively enjoyed it. But yeah, if you have any doubts, don't, because you will be spending money, time. You will not be seeing any more friends. If you have any more friends, forget it, because you're not going to see. You're not going to be seeing them. You're not going to see your family. It is intense.
There
But
must be some Saturdays
if
where you wake up and you just think, I don't want to go to wherever it is, and I just can't be. Can I just not have a nice long breakfast and watch the news at lunchtime? And was there any day where you just didn't want it, Chris? No, you always wanted it.
Not for me, because I wouldn't go, Dave. This is it, right? This is an elected choice for me. If and when I ever get to the point that I don't fancy it, I won't be going. I won't be going. We'll have a break and consider why that is the case.
Yeah, there is that sunken cost fallacy. I mean, you've already paid for the ticket. If you don't want to go that morning, then don't go. The money's gone. It's going or not is a choice. It's even if it does harm the tournament numbers. Everyone's going to understand. Grave, are you any of those mornings? Was there tournaments you sort of thought, oh, I've committed to it, I'm going to force myself to go, or were you genuinely happy every time to turn up?
Actually, like in 1/3 of my tournaments, I didn't want to go because I have to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and drive like 200 to 300 kilometers. And most of the times I sleep like 2 hours and then I go to drive and play and then come back and yeah, but I still go. What can you do?
Well,
it's
you
not the end of
can
the
not do that. You can spend
yeah,
more
man,
time in
it's
bed.
like yeah, okay.
what do you mean? What is this not going? I don't understand.
2 hours of sleep, like it's not the end of the world for one day, you know. I've been in the army; it's not a big deal for me, to be honest. So no sleeping, it's yeah.
When you get there, though, does that leave you once you're playing? Is that like, yeah, this is
When I arrive there, it's completely gone. This feeling, and I'm like, yeah, let's roll some dice, let's smoke some, and let's have fun and stuff, you know.
Now, we've already talked a little bit because Chris brought it up because he's constantly on about his competitive advantage and his reps. What's been the biggest gain for you? We've talked about some of the loss. What would you say has been the big gain of playing this amount of games? Has there been any? What are your takeaways, Grave?
Like, I learned about the game mostly. Like, my first year, I only played humans, and I was watching what everyone was doing with the different teams and stuff. I learned a lot, and I also think like it builds a little bit of character. Like, in the first year, I was getting very frustrated over my bad results and stuff, and then I got over it, and yeah, I think it's also a
Okay.
big part of this game. Like, yeah, you have to overcome the bad psychology. Like, sometimes if you lose, you like maybe you can feel even stupid because like why I did that and stuff. But yeah, in the end, it's a game. You are there to have fun, and yeah, after some games, you can fortitude your psychology and overcome these feelings and say, yeah, it's a game, and yeah, that's it.
Chris, what? I mean, I've taken the piss a bit, but I know what you're going to say. So let's get it said. What's been your gain from this amount of Blood Bowl?
What in terms of my actual ability or the experience? 'Cause the
However you
experience
define
is
it, what have you
always
gained from doing 150 games of Blood Bowl a year? You've
the
put a lot of money, a lot
game
of
this
time in.
year
What's
is.
come out?
I have. So the main gain always, right, is the time spent with people and the new people that I've met. So regardless of what actually happens on the table, that's the bit that makes this infectious, right? You get to compete against generally great guys and girls,
The
and
real
share
pals were the
experiences, get
friends
to
we
know
made
them.
along the way.
Absolutely, mate.
It's true.
Absolutely.
It's true.
But if we're talking personal gameplay,
Anything.
I'm yeah, say I think the number of reps has particularly say like I did loads of frog reps last year, so I would say out of the 70 odd games I've played on NAF now with the frogs, it's only the last 20 that I fully understand, or fully understand that I greater understand how that team needs to be played. And the end result is you then take them to a UKTC, you take them to Greece, and you perform to the level that you wish to. Without the reps before that, learning and trying to work out how when is the time with that type of team as well. You don't put yourself in a position to perform. So I'm not sure what race that will be for this year yet, but I'm looking forward to doing that probably over a few different races as well. But yeah, the reps give you confidence when it comes down to it. I think that you can actually execute what you need to do.
And other Carl talk again. Same question. What's been your gain? What would you look back on and say
Ye-
that's what I got out of it?
Yeah, so I mean, 100% agree with what Grave said. I think it that many games can really, yeah, you're having your site. You have to keep your head in it, keep your head cool. You have to deal with adversity a lot, repeatedly, and that's really helpful. And obviously, I also agree with Chris in terms of the experience and meeting everybody. But I'm not going to reiterate what they just said. But a slightly more unique side, and then on the performance side, it really helps to see what's out there, right? Because you can play 100 games in your local and never play more than 5, 6 people and whatever. But if you spread those reps out and go away and play people from different places and different rule sets, you see a lot of things that you would like. For example, earlier at the beginning of the year, someone would have shown me, I don't know, given a roster for some of the ones that are being proposed for Europe. Oh, that's crap. That'll never work. You know, that'll never work. But now I've seen people play those well, and be like, oh, okay. And it's, I guess it's made me a bit more open-minded and more aware of the variety that this hobby has. And it also means that you don't get surprised then, right? When you face something on the table, it's not like, oh, what is this? No, oh yeah, I've seen that before. Yeah, let's go. So
That
to me,
must be a joy
that's
for all your
the effect of my
opponents.
game. Oh yeah, I love it. They love it.
You've talked about Chris talking about playing a lot of frogs. I happen to know, Talk, that you've played a lot of vampires in the last year.
Have I now?
Is that fair?
It's fair. Yeah, it's fair.
How many of your
Well,
183 or whatever it is games would you say were vampires?
it's about half, I think.
About half.
It's
And Chris, you said
yeah.
your slan is about half of your 150. You think?
Less than, but
Okay.
yeah, a good percentage. Good percentage.
Grave, have you been mastering one race or spreading it all about?
Yeah, last year was the Underworld year.
Hmm.
What a year to pick Underworld. Halfway through, they
Yeah,
changed massively.
exactly.
Well,
But yeah, it was fun as long as it lasted. But I will still play with them.
How did you find that change on them? Did you adjust to it? Did you find a new way to make them work?
Yeah, just if you're lucky and you get them out by fouling people, then yeah. But yeah, they used to be much stronger before
Yeah.
with the snoutings and swarming.
Yeah, arguably a little too strong. But yeah, now they've lost swarming. Perhaps, I don't know, perhaps they need other than fouling, maybe just some other way of winning games would be nice for them to have. Have you tried variety though? Have you been taking some weird and wacky? But is there a tournament you look at and you just think, oh, I don't care about this rule set. I'm just gonna, I don't know, play something awful like halflings or undead, something that no one cares about. Have you been mixing it up? And what makes you take those sorts of decisions? Not to play your favourite race.
Yeah, we have a tournament like this in Iron Ball. It's my next tournament in 1 week, where I will be playing Snotlings. So it's a 4 game tournament, and you also get 3 special play cards. And yeah, you never know what happens.
Chris, have you been mixing it up, and why? Why, when you don't play your slan, has that been the case?
Yeah, absolutely. So format-wise, switching stuff a load. Some of the best fun I've had this year is things like we went to one of Alistair Pring's Wobbett's draft tournament, which was a different team every time. The team was built for you. It changed game to game. Crazy, but really good fun. Really, really good fun. I think I've probably played, yeah, I've at least played 10, 11 different types of race this year. And then when it comes to the frogs, multiple different builds, trying to work out obviously what was going to be best for Greece, and certainly worked out for me. So yeah, the experimentation is part of it. I don't want to be playing the same thing every single week.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Torquemada, I mean, again, how's your variety been for you? And
yeah. So, go on.
what drives you towards taking that choice to not play your favourite race? Because I mean, I could
Yeah.
easily do 150 games of dwarves in a year. I think I'd find that fun and interesting and challenging, but most people would think I would be insane. So, what makes you choose to go away from your most comfortable race?
There's a lot of things. I think one thing is that vampires in particular can be exasperating because you're rolling so many dice that you're so dependent on variance, and sometimes you just need to play something a little bit less wild. But also, I find that when you've played a race, it makes it a lot easier to then counter it when you're playing against it, and it teaches you things. It teaches you, like, you remember those times where, like, oh, I've just messed this up, and you know what your opponent did against you. I love playing super aggressive, super aggressive. But by playing races that don't play like that, I learned that, oh, right, sometimes if you just call them up and be like, yeah, come on, come to me, that works too. And I wouldn't know that unless I'd played those races. Yeah, and it's just getting a bit of variety in, even though I do love my vampires. But yeah, and also another thing is that you can become really used to the strengths of your race and forget how to play Blood Bowl. Vampires, I think, again, a bit of a special case because I could just hypno cheat my way through everything. Be like, oh, no, I don't care. I don't care about tackle zones. Boof, done. I don't care about blodge. But even with elves, right, you just get used to, it doesn't matter. I don't need to look at the turn counter because I can score whenever I want. And then you try to play dwarves and you're like, well, yeah, I have a problem.
Total lack of agency and responsiveness.
exactly.
Oh, look, I have
And
to build
it
shapes and
yeah,
cages.
right. So it keeps you, it makes your game better, right? It gives you that little edge, that you can't get by just playing the same race over and over and over and over again.
And thank you, by the way, in passing. And no, I won't stop until everyone calls it hypno cheat, because that's what it is.
Well, yeah,
Um,
it's pretty good. It is pretty good.
Now, I have noticed, it has been pointed out to me, that not only have I made it onto the provisional 12 for Team England, from which the 8 and the 4 are apparently to be drawn, but you have too.
I have indeed. Yes.
So, first of all, congratulations. I'm sure we'd all want to
Thank
say
you.
that. Was that an aim at the start of the year? And do you think that the number of games helped put you into that area? Was that part of that?
Yes and no. So it was an aim, yeah, absolutely. The number of games, not necessarily. I think it's what games. Because I spoke to Core, because I did apply last year, and obviously I didn't get in. And some of the advice that Core gave me was, you've done really well in your little pocket of the world. Get out there, play somewhere else, show that you can win elsewhere, and then you'll have a much better chance. And
Are you saying that 3 tournament
yeah, and
wins
I
in
think
Bromley does not make you a great player?
yeah, exactly right. And you can be right. It can be that you are a great player if you win those tournaments, but it doesn't prove that you are. But if you get out there and play other, not only will you be able to prove, I can win here, I can win in Italy, I can win in Belgium, whatever, but also it gives you that experience of playing those different rosters, which is what you will play in Europe Bowl.
Yeah.
So that, yeah, the number not so much. Well, I'm sure it helps, but it's where and who I'm playing against. That has, I think, made that difference.
Chris, you've similarly had similar success. Team England adjacent, you're coming out to the European and the Euro Bowl as an assistant to our captain, and you were certainly part of the provisional squad before you were cut to 12. How gutted are you?
I'm not gonna. No, me and Dan had a great chat this week, and obviously, I'm a Diet Coke fetcher for you, Dave. Obviously, is the plan.
I still think of it as, yeah, and thank you very much. I'll have one every half, basically.
Absolutely, mate.
I still think of that as huge success. You are still fairly new in. You've risen right up through the rankings. You've made it to the attention of Team England captain, and you are, Team England adjacent. You're certainly in the conversation, in the mix. Again, do you put some of that down to this? Just getting those reps in.
Yeah, I mean, undoubtedly, right?
Is it numbers or is it experience and, as Carl was saying, exposure to other types of Blood Bowl? Where on that line do you think?
Yeah. It's correct, right? That you have to experience different play styles and different countries. Honestly, I think as well really helps, right? To work out what you say you're not phased when you sit down. I think particularly for me this year, it's the numbers which then allowed me to perform when I played better coaches, right? And that's probably, I think, if you look at just headline numbers for me, it's not particularly impressive in comparison to people. But I think if I was in a conversation, it's because I perform when I play people like yourselves, right?
And as you say, is that about experience or is that about belief?
Well, I believe, yeah, of course I believe. But the experience allows you to not be kidding yourself as far as that belief.
Okay, so to make the belief realistic.
It is, and that's why, honestly, as far as the conversation with Dan, and we'll work out what I can actually add to Hungary and the lead up to it, right? But that's why I would rather, even if it means that no one drops out and I don't get to play, I'd rather be adjacent to you guys and help prepare, because that's what's, in my mind, going to make me better over the course of the next 12 months.
And definitely make us better.
I intend to, if I can add something, right? I think
a little shoulder massage. Do this and a Coke arrives. It's all going to help.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also a tactical mind who doesn't have any horse in the race other than make everyone get better.
this is it. There's a reason why France felt it worthwhile having multiple support staff out there. We'll have to, obviously, and if I'm going to fulfill a role there, I intend to make sure that I'm actually adding something. So we'll see how that works. We'll see how that works. But I'm excited and delighted for Carl and you guys, because it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Grave, same question then, I suppose. Has this brought you to the attention of the great and the good of Greece?
Sorry?
Has this brought to your attention? Has Team Greece contacted you about your availability for Euro Bowls? Is that something you see in your future, or they see in your future? Because you said you live outside of Greece, but are a very proud Greek.
Yeah, I live in Germany. So yeah, no, they haven't contacted me. So I guess not. So yeah,
Are they missing out?
no idea.
Well, I mean, I
Yeah,
certainly think they are. I mean, I think
Uh,
you're a lovely man and a fine coach. Have these guys got it easy? They live in England. There's a load of Blood Bowl in England every weekend. Surely you've had to work a lot harder to get your numbers in. As you said, you've had to travel to different countries, drive hours every Saturday. Is it harder keeping those numbers up in Europe, do you think? Yes, to you.
sorry.
Is it harder for you to get the numbers in Europe, Grove?
Okay, sorry. Come again.
Is it harder to get those numbers in Europe where there's maybe less Blood Bowl tournaments?
Yeah, I guess yeah, where I am, I have like tournaments in the radius of 1 hour and a half, like in every country and in Germany. So yeah, if there are not many, like in Greece, they make like what, 5 tournaments, 6 tournaments per year. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Now, these guys were talking about the value they're getting out of playing European Blood Bowl compared to British Blood Bowl. That there's just different types of rosters built, different types of ways of playing. I mean, I find French players almost universally far more aggressive than I find UK players when it comes to tournaments. Um, you have said already that you play in Germany, in Holland, in Belgium. Do you
yeah,
find differences in those different little Blood Bowl communities?
yeah. The Germans, a part of them are a little bit more competitive than the Belgian guys and the guys from the Netherlands. And yeah, actually, the level is very high here in Germany, and it helped me a lot to develop as a player.
Okay.
Because yeah, like my first Blood Bowl game ever was against Store. Like yeah,
Ah,
I
well,
went to a tournament and hello.
well, there's another man that
So,
burnt out. See, so another one that we should be concerned about, just the number of games you play and your commitment levels, because he played hard, played well, broke
yeah,
things, did all that stuff that you should be doing when you're young, and then disappeared from Blood Bowl. We all hope we get him back. We hope it's a break. Another one sorely missed if we lose him from Blood Bowl for a while. With the number of tournaments you've been to, what one stuck out last year as the most fun? What was your best tournament? Let's praise some tournament organisers.
mhm.
so I
Great.
will start.
Yeah.
I will start. Yeah, my favorite tournament so far is a Turncoat in Belgium. It's a 24 hours tournament where yeah you play 11 games.
Wow.
So that means 11 smoke breaks.
But also it means less than 2 hours a game, doesn't it?
No, it was a solid 2 hours and a half, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, but sadly this year they will not do it 24 hours because they don't have so many participants. Yeah, but I think yeah, it's the 24-hour thing is my favorite thing that
Mm.
happened so far.
I mean that I've said I might want to do a 24-hour one day. There's a couple in the UK. There's the Coffee Cup and the Block Around the Clock, or something like that. Two that I may not get the names exactly right, but I know there's at least two. One in the north, one a bit more south, that are 24 hours in the UK. My
Yeah,
partner says she thinks it will kill me. So
the,
what
th- the thing with
what did you
the
like about it?
the thing with the ten code is like you play one game with your team and the next with your opponent's team. Okay,
Oh,
so
right.
so imagine this. I'm like in the first year of mine. I'm there in the 10th game. I played against Arioso. Okay, so he gives me black orcs, zero rerolls. through three bribes, a troll with leader, and all black orcs stand firm. So imagine now you are playing like 20 hours Blood Bowl and they give you to play this stuff, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's draw on your experience time, isn't it? That's, oh my goodness, how am I dealing with this? Do you think he
Yeah,
deliberately
it was
built a roster other people wouldn't be able to
great.
use
Yeah,
and he would?
yeah. Sure.
Yeah. So there's a meta there, isn't there? Let's build something I'll know how
Yeah.
to use, and when I hand it to someone else, they'll not have a clue.
Yeah.
I saw you nodding furiously, Talk. Were you at that one? Have you been there?
I was. I played Grave as well. Yeah, we played the last game. Is his Underworld against
Under
my Vamps.
vampires, yeah.
And were you
I
playing
Yeah,
your own
yeah.
squads or the opposites?
We were at the time. Yeah,
we all
yeah.
played we played our teams.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's
I
exactly
didn't
what
win
you
the
said.
tournament because of him.
Sorry. If it helps, I didn't win because of you, so we're even.
Okay, I can get cool.
Yeah.
So you destroyed each
No,
other. Great way to go.
well, we drew, right? So then, so
Yeah,
that meant
2-2.
Timo, who was we were all
Yeah.
neck and neck, and then Timo just went and
Yeah,
and
exactly.
got it. But yeah, no, it's what you said, right? The meta is you have to bring, because some people think, oh, bring something that's shit, but then you have to play half the games with that. But if you bring something that's can work, but you have to know what you're doing. Yeah, so I brought low reroll vampires and watch my opponents go, oh yeah, hypno. Oh wait, no, I don't have any rerolls.
It's turn
No,
2 and
you
I have
don't.
no rerolls left. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it was an incredible tournament. Yeah, absolutely 100% recommend.
Okay, so both of you were talking that one up. I will come to you for another if you want one. But for the both of you, you were there as well, Chris, or I just assume you're at every tournament that exists.
No, that was during the first couple of months of the year, so no, I couldn't.
Okay, so
make
both of
that
you chose
work.
to go to that tournament. Was it the rule set? Was it the number because you were both after your numbers? I mean, or was it 24 hours, get all sorts of interesting Blood Bowl in? What most appealed about it?
Yeah, for me
Yeah.
it was a 24 hours, and
Mhm.
he also has a series of miniatures that I also like to collect and stuff. So it was a win-win. You go
Yeah.
there, you play, you get your mini. Like, yeah, where else can you play 24 hours?
So it's very much a personal challenge, is it? Can I get
Mhm.
through this 24 hours of playing this Blood Bowl? That's something I need to know about myself, is it?
Yeah,
Yeah, but
and I think
I said it was a lot
go
of
on.
fun. Like this looks fun.
Yeah, fun had some vocal inverted commas around it there. I think we all heard them. Talk.
Yeah.
What drove you there?
Yeah, so I ran across it on Talk Fantasy Football, and it just saw that. I thought 24 hours. How do you swap teams? Like, okay, this sounds like an absolute mess. I need some of this. It just felt so intense and so out there. It was like, yeah, this sounds amazing. And then I spoke to Timo about the tournament as well, and he said that the vibe was incredible and it was really good. And also, it's in Belgium, and I really love Belgian beer, so I thought, all right, hop over on the
I was going to
Eurostar,
say,
grab
that's
a
a
bunch of
train
beer,
ride away from
go
us
back.
Londoners.
Exactly. Yeah, so it was
Easier
that,
than
right? Like the
Manchester.
intensity of it.
Easier than Manchester.
Yes, which is yeah. So yeah, no, it was that. And yeah, he was absolutely right. Like the vibe is incredible. And the organizer was super accommodating. Yeah, because we couldn't do the 24 hours in the end, we needed somewhere to sleep, so he let us sleep at his place. So it was really friendly chap.
So at the end of it, does everyone crash? Is that, or does he like close the door and go, bye then?
Oh, funny you should ask. At the end of the 24-hour tournament, there's another one. There's one day after that. It's for 4 more games.
Yes.
And,
Did you do that?
You can play them both. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Madman.
Of course we
Fucking
did.
madmen. Yeah, Chris, I'm glad you're shaking your head. I'm not the only sane person here tonight, maybe.
Yeah.
Before we hear from Talk and see if that was his top pick of the year, what was yours? What was your favourite tournament? You went to so many.
Yeah, I maybe two. So I mentioned Alistair's draft tournament. That's one I'm very keen to get back to again if he decides to run it. 30 coaches, one for each of the races there. draft board. It's 1 million TV, so you must have one of each positional. So I got given Wood Elves first because of the restrictions. Right, you got a tree. I had a catcher, a thrower, and one war dancer. It's Blood Bowl like you wouldn't. I
And do
wouldn't
you
experience
build the
anywhere
roster? Do
else.
you or?
Not at all. They're built for you before they start, so you don't even have to turn up with a team or indeed dice. So you turn up, the teams are there. They're drafted each round. So if you're leading after the first round, you will have last choice in the second round.
Oh, okay. So you pick.
So absolutely, yeah. So random the first round, but the breadth of coaches. So yes, okay, it's local there. So there were some local league guys, but like Care was there. So I think as Care will moan about it, he got last pick randomly in the first round, and then won his game. So obviously got last pick in the second round as well. And it was just hilarious, honestly. Yeah, you're not going to play NAF Tournament Blood Bowl with that many restrictions. You built the roster as you went along as well, so you had the option to either add a primary or roll a random second one. So by the third game, I had Dark Elves with a Animal Savagery Assassin. I was playing Barney, who had a double negatrait, I think Take Root and Boneheads, and Animal Savagery on an ogre and stuff as well. It was nutty, absolutely nutty. So I think rule set wise, definitely that one. But
Despite the fact that it's so out there, it's never going to count as an NAF ranking game, is it?
Absolutely, and it's so varied, right? Because of what you get given or what you get picked. That yeah, absolute crapshoot of whether you're going to win it or anything like that. I think it didn't do particularly well, but had a blast. It was a great day. Great day. I'd be lying though if that wasn't my main memory of the year. I mean, well, love the big tournaments with Carl and stuff. In November, seeing my brother win at Warhammer World, which was our first tournament that we did together, was brilliant, mate. It's one of the things that I will remember for however long I go on this journey. So yeah, that's what I enjoyed probably most.
It's odd. I've said it before. I think one of my greatest memories and greatest achievements in Blood Bowl. It's such a personal game. You do it all for you. It's just about what you do that day. You know, people will come up and pretend to be happy for you or whatever, but really, you live in this little pocket of just playing for yourself. One of my happiest memories in Blood Bowl, if not the happiest, is the time I helped the Twitch stream guys get. I think it was second place we got at the UKTC. I was so proud of them, and to be involved in someone else's success, oddly, is probably my best memory in Blood Bowl. I know I was part of the team, but I really felt that was down to the three of them, not anything I did that weekend. And that would I put right up there with anything else I've ever achieved.
Why we love team stuff so much as well, right? It's a shared, Blood Bowl's a shared experience,
and it's proliferating.
I mean, anything.
When I got into Blood Bowl, there was I think one team tournament in the UK, the UKTC,
right.
And then they started. London had one and tried one with 3 people teams, and people had pairs and things. And suddenly there's lots of team tournaments. I don't know how many there are in total, but it's got to be at least 10 or a dozen team tournaments kicking off now, if you count pairs as well.
More than that though, because over half of my 149 games were team tournaments last year. Over half, about 60%, mostly with Dude here, right? But yeah, no, it's popular because it's wicked, it's brilliant, it's because of the shared experience.
It's strange. It is awesome. Such a selfish game, and yet to be able to sit next to someone and to be proud of what they do, or to just care about what they do. And we all joke about it. The great thing with team tournaments is there's someone to pretend to care about your dice story. It's not that. I mean, that is fun, but it's genuinely caring about what someone else does in this weirdly isolated pocket that is Blood Bowl. Your brother, by the way, has joined us in the chat, so he knows what big old softy you are now.
Oh, bless him. He knows already. Beneath the hardest steer.
It's obvious from how much you've talked him up this evening, how much you love your brother, and that's absolutely glorious to see. And like I said, lovely, lovely guy. I couldn't have been more chuffed in Alicante that he was our MVP. I thought that was fantastic, considering some of the conversations we'd had just before going. That really cheered me up beyond belief. Torquemada. So the waiting is over. We stand with bated breath. What, if anything, beats Belgium for you?
It's hard to beat Belgium. It's really hard because that is such a blast. But I have to say Tillian Team Cup. It, there's everything there, right? You're going to get the hardest games you've ever got at that tournament. The level is just spectacularly good. Um, you have people from all over Europe coming there to really test themselves. So you're not only just playing with the top Italian guys who are
Oh yeah,
top
some of the best players in the world.
but you've got the French there, you've got the best of England as well going, you've got Spaniards there as well. You've got everybody, and even your people who are club players there will give you games that you will be sweating bullets. And but specifically this year or last year, I suppose, was a commemorative edition. I didn't know the person that was being commemorated, but it was somebody very big in the Italian scene who passed away very sadly. Who I think had won the year before as well. So it was extra special because obviously it was a very emotional event, and everybody was sort of pouring their heart into making that event a real commemoration of this man. And so yeah, that did make it extra special. And plus, it's a team tournament, and I agree completely with what you were saying before, right? Where it just makes it so much more enjoyable when your successes and failures are collective, and you know it just has everything. So it's in Italy, which I love as a country. It's got some incredibly good games, and it's a team tournament. Yeah, what more could you ask?
It's interesting that no one's mentioned the rule set in terms of. I mean, I suppose in terms of swapping the teams around or whatever we have, but is rule set a key factor in enjoying a tournament for you guys, or have you now played so many that whatever it is, you'll adjust?
As long as it's not got Morg, I'm good.
Okay, Chris, do you care about these things?
By and large, no. I think probably am being slightly more selective based on what a goal would be. So no, I did have a couple of experiences this year with just back-to-back Star Player Bowl stuff. It can become a bit frustrating if you're going with a different goal in mind. But I've got no problem with that kind of Blood Bowl at all. It's just you need to lean in and play the same kind of way if that's going to be the case. So I think this year probably will be slightly more focused as far as the competitive rule set ones that I want to do, but we'll absolutely be sprinkling in crazy stuff alongside of it to keep it fresh. Right? So.
And Greg, do you care about the rule set? Does that influence whether you go?
Yeah, most times not, because I like the variety of the rule sets if they're different and stuff. But yeah, this year I think I will avoid most of the tournaments with the Euroball rule set, especially if they are far away. I will not commit to travel and go play.
Yeah, Poverty Bowl really has divided the community a bit, hasn't it? That's it's kind of hard to love. Yeah. I'm going to make you do it. You don't have to if you don't want to. Just talk about why. You don't have to name them. What was the worst tournament? Don't all shout at once. Like I said, if you don't want to name the tournament, just tell me why it was bad and what made it the worst.
Yeah, I can think of a couple, and I won't name them, but I'll give you two different reasons why.
Okay.
One was rule set, and as a result, it translated into 6 games of playing a team with Morgan Hatflem snots on every single time, so 1 in 4 chance. And that can get a bit miserable. The other one, again, a 2-day, it just for the size not being up to scratch organisation wise. I think little details like tables being all over the place as far as numbers, setting with loads and loads of people around what your next draw was, not thinking about what the internet connectivity was, and so on as well, and a venue that just wasn't right for it. Again, I wouldn't put that either on the tournament organisers. Obviously, doing the best,
we put that
still
on.
had a great time.
The tournament wasn't organised. They didn't have good Wi-Fi available. The tables weren't in the right place. The draws weren't being done. Who else can we put that on? It's not an act of God, is it? No one crept up and moved things around. That's on the tournament organizer.
I think it's certain circumstances outside of control as well,
Okay.
right? So look, Carl is, and I'm going to chip in on running a tournament, a 2-day in, when is it, May, Carl, right? And
Yeah.
before he'd even put together any sort of submission or obviously putting it out there, the amount of thought that's gone into it. Look, I would expect nothing less, but I do think if you're going to put on an event, you try and cover as many variables as possible.
I mean, I'm coming as long as the terms of my rider are met. Only brown, no brown, no
We're
brown,
working on it. We're working on
no
it.
brown and M&Ms,
Yeah,
and a room of at least 20 degrees
Well,
centigrade.
it's a great chance for me to practice getting your Diet Cokes, Dave, right?
Either Carl, then, what was your least favourite and why? And name them. Tell me all about them.
Okay.
Shame
Well,
them.
I was struggling to think of it, and then Chris set Starball. I was like, oh yeah, there we go. There's been two, which, the Starball was so rife that in both of them, like day 2 was just, oh here you go, dribble and drool. You don't have a team. Morg, right? Dead. I was like, okay. And then, I've got what's the bloody rat? Hack flame. Get the ball, score. It's just like, okay, fine. And for the, as again Chris said, for the size of these things and for how big they are, and not just in terms of the physical size and the number of people, but their renown, you would expect better in both cases.
Yeah. Grave, what was the worst tournament? Who ran it? And what's their phone number?
Yeah. To be honest, I can't name one. Yeah.
Okay, so instead of naming them, what was the worst sort of experience? Was there a tournament that sticks out as I didn't really enjoy that?
Yeah, I had a bad experience this year with a specific dude. He played me with a chess clock and stuff, but yeah, I just hope it was my first and last bad experience. But yeah.
So it was just about an individual, not necessarily the tournament.
Individual, all the tournaments they run flawlessly, I think, because I don't understand German. So yeah, either if there is drama, I'm outside smoking, so I don't know.
So they're dealing with you're just getting high while they're dealing with all the crap. You just wander in, play some Blood Bowl, it's fine.
Yeah, so for me, they call me to go and play after for every turn, so everything runs perfect.
Now, this isn't Blood Bowl, but I'm just going to have to circle back. You live in Germany.
Yes.
You work in Germany. Did you just say you don't understand German?
Yeah, but right now I understand some, yeah.
Ich spreche ein sehr klein bisschen Deutsch.
Yeah, the thing is
that is about it.
Yeah, when I came to Germany, I started working immediately. I didn't take any lessons and stuff. And yeah, now with the career jump, I have time, and now I do lessons and stuff so I can understand and speak.
What are our big tips for tournament organisers? I mean, they obviously get some feedback, I'm sure, from their sycophantic friends who tell them everything was brilliant. But you guys have a lot of experience of tournaments. What would you advise a tournament organiser to do that's going to make it good for the punters? I mean, there's obviously things they need to do for them and for the venue and for NAF, but from our point of view, from going along and playing, trying to take that tournament organizer hat off that I know, Chris and Carl Torquemada are playing with for this year. What as a punter would you advise a tournament organizer to keep you happy, to get you want to come back next year?
So for me, is that they should have available a lunch option, because some tournaments they don't have available a lunch. And yeah, because you stay there many hours and you need to eat a lunch, otherwise you can't even focus. And yeah, even with minimum snacks, you can't get the day off.
If I say, oh, there's 3 shops within a 2-minute walk where you can buy lunch, is that enough, or do you need lunch in your price and provided?
It depends on the time you have for the lunch break. If you have a big lunch break, then we can go around and eat. Yeah, it's not a problem.
Okay.
Otherwise, yeah, it will be good to have something to provide.
Okay, so from
Even
Grave, we're having an available smoking area and lunch options available.
I can go far away, it's not a problem. Just bring me some food.
Chris, what's your top advice to tournament organisers? How do they keep you happy?
Keep running tournaments predominantly, but apart from that, I would say have a plan in mind when you're actually putting something on in the first place. So, are you going for, as Carl is, a nice, tight, super competitive rule set, trying to get lots of different people from different areas, and therefore, yes, accommodation, food is a concern. Or if you're going for crazy or a little bit wackier, you lean into it, right? Let's have some lore to it. Let's have something a bit different, which sets it apart. I think sometimes, or the ones that maybe I might choose to avoid slightly more, is when it seems confused, that you're trying to be all things to all people and cover all the boxes. You can't do that, I don't think, right? It's a case of and there aren't two polarized opposites. It's not that, yes, this is crazy and fun, this is competitive, but I think on the spectrum in between, if you put some real serious thought into, yes, we want this bit of crazy, but we're going to try and counteract everybody coming with the same thing, because there's nothing more miserable for a player to turn up at a tournament and everybody's running exactly the same things. It's clear, obviously, that this is the way to be competitive. It
17
happens
orcs,
so
13
few.
undead, and 2 Amazon rosters.
Absolutely. And it happens so few, right? Because not everybody is building for a tournament like that way. But as I say, I think if you've got a clear plan of what you're trying to establish theme-wise for your tournament to start off with, probably avoid a lot of that.
And fantastically, there are some Blood Bowl coaches that will look at any rule set and say, yeah, I don't care, I want to play Chaos Chosen, so I'm going to take Chaos Chosen. And they are fantastic, and we love those humans.
We did.
Torquemada, what
Easy
would be
wins,
your
right?
top tips for a tournament organizer? How do they get you there and
Yeah.
get you happy?
Yeah, so there's two things. One, Maria put it in the chat as I was thinking about it. Heaters, but not just heaters, right? Comfort. Think about the comfort of the people who are going to be playing there, because especially if it's like a 4 games in a day or something, it's already quite an intense thing. Like you're thinking, and you know. But if you're in a room that's really loud, really cramped, or it's really cold, or there's a lot of people passing by, then that really can add a lot to the mental fatigue, and that's something you should be dealing with. And I think the other one is clarity about rules that are not like strictly the rule set, right? So timing. What happens when you run out of time? If there are chess clocks, how should they be used? If you have bands and stuff like that, how do you mark the skills? What goes, what doesn't?
Mm-hmm.
Because I've had many games where things have just not been very clear, and the rule set doesn't really specify, so I can't tell my opponent, no, you have to mark those differently, because they're well within their right to just be like, no, the one with the wonky ear has block and the other one has tackle, and off you go. So make that clear in your rule set, and if you have to enforce it, do, because it's not fair on everybody else. And likewise, the time, right? I mean, obviously, it was discussed in this show when in the Euro Bowl one about what happened in Greece, right? Where suddenly it was timeout and it was timeout, and that's fine as long as you've made it super clear to everybody that that's the way you're going to run it. And in fairness to them, they did run it like that. Sure, but and in fairness to them, they did enforce that religiously on everybody,
and were clear about it from the start.
Exactly, and
terrible
that's
choice,
great.
but they were clear about it.
But yeah, if you make one rule and then some people it applies to and some people it doesn't, that's a problem. And I had one. I mean, Chris has an experience that he may or may not want to say. I won't say it for him, but I had one where I was in a tournament and I just sacked the ball and it was timeout and it was an even turn for both, so that was it, and that was the rule. So I was like, okay, fine. The next game, that happened to my neighbor, and they just kept playing. And the organizer said, "No, it's fine." And I was like, "What?"
That might be the thing that tilted me. I'm very hard to tilt. That might tilt me.
Yeah, and obviously, I should have maybe said something that I should have maybe asked if we could play on. I didn't, so that's on me. But it was really annoying that happened, because that cost me the Stunty Cup, the most touchdowns. No, the most it cost me a whole bunch of stuff, and it's like ultimately it doesn't really matter. But come on, be consistent. Yeah, be consistent and clear is all.
Okay, that's some good advice for tournament organisers that are listening. I've had a couple of interesting experiences that I just want to relay. I had a tournament where I signed up very early. And the reason I signed up early was the tournament organiser knew I might have been interested, contacted me and said, so if you want to come, I can put your name down on the list and that will attract other people. I thought, it bloody won't. But they were convinced it might. I've had another one say to me the exact opposite. Well, if you want to come, that's fine, but I might not put your name on the list just yet because it'll put people off, which I think is probably more likely. I mean, I am incredibly toxic, as we all know. Does it matter to you who else is going? Do you care? Should those lists be published? I mean, we talked before the show about how the one you recently went to in High Wycombe, both Andy Davo, praise him, was there. But also other known people like Core. Does it matter if there's a good quality field? Does it impact, you think? Known names and big faces? I mean, Grave, let's start with you. You talked about the lovely Peter D being at tournaments.
Yes.
Do you notice things like that and think, oh yeah, well then that's one I'm going to go to? Or is it relevant to you who else is going?
Yeah, not so much, but it's nice to have nice people there,
Yeah. So if it's people, names you recognise, that's an appeal, is it? Yeah.
So yeah, the thing is because I travel so much, I see, like I have the local level, the higher level, like there is a lot of stuff. So yeah, I see everyone. And yeah, what can I say?
Chris, what do you think? Does it matter who's there? Should it be open? Should it not?
I mean, again, right, like Grace says, right, we travelled so much that I would struggle to go anywhere, certainly in the UK, I'm guessing, and not know or possibly share the beer with at least one coach that's there at the moment.
For some reason, my head said you were going to say share a bed with.
Yeah, well,
it's not up to me what you do on the evenings, mate. Once the Blood Bowl's done, your time's your own.
Absolutely, but depending on the type of tournament, right? So I'll go and play anywhere if A, it fits, and B, I think it'll be fun. But if it's a competitive tournament, so look, Liam's tournament's the one held up at the end of last year, right? As far as a small field, super competitive. I was gutted not to be there.
But you look down the list of who's at. I mean, Liam is Thulian, if you're not recognising that name.
Yeah,
been on the show a couple of times. I think a huge part of Blood Bowl's future. Very smart man, great Blood Bowl player, and a great mind for Blood Bowl. His tournament happens that it's a one-day on a Sunday usually, which is again a bit odd, bit of an outlier. But if you look down the list of names that go into that, it is a who's who of very competitive Blood Bowl players. That's attractive to you, though, is it, Chris? That's something that makes you think I want to be there.
Yeah, I think with a tight rule set, right? If it and again, like going back to it, I'm sure by the looks of it, Liam had loads of different prizes for loads of different stuff as well. There was something for everyone, but the rule set was very tight and competitive. Lots of stuff was viable, and therefore, yes, of course, it was attractive to those who are really competitive. But I mean, I don't want to speak to Liam, right? But I presume that's because he does think so well. I'm presuming he knows exactly what he's doing in that respect to do so.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't need to be every weekend that I'm turning up, but I am in this to sit down, hopefully as early as possible if it's lucky, but definitely in the latter games and play the likes of yourselves. Right, that's it's not that I don't get enjoyment from playing against other people. I'm here to test myself, right? And that's how I test myself. That's how I get better. So it helps if some of you are actually there to start off with.
Well, and I know we've talked about it on the show before, but I want to say yet another big shout out to Misspelled Tree, who won that tournament. Just think it was getting to the point where she, I think, was feeling I should have won a tournament by now. She goes and absolutely smashes it at one of the most competitive fields I've ever seen. So really put down a marker for the sort of Blood Bowl that she's playing nowadays, which I think has taken her again into the England team. So thrilled to have her there. Torquemada, what's did it matter to you who's going?
Yeah, it does. It does. I think for many of the same reasons that Chris said, right? I want to have good games, and by good I mean competitive games, right? I want to play games where I'm tested and I have to think about what I'm doing, and having good coaches there, is a good way to get that. But I think it's not just that though. There's some of it is the competitive side, but also the people I want to hang out with. Like if there's I wasn't originally planning to go to the Sheffield one next weekend, but Chris will be there and he's driving there anyway, which obviously does help. But there's going to be a lot of people there that I like, and I want to hang out with. And that's a big part of it, right? Like the tournament this weekend at High Wycombe. There were some heavy hitters there. Don't get me wrong, right? I got some really good games, but mostly the motivation there was like, oh my god, look at it's Paul and it's Matt and Andy and all these people that I really like. It's like, yeah, I'll go hang out.
Do you ever, I mean,
play some Blood Bowl.
with the number of tournaments you guys all went to, do you ever look at a list of who's going on? Because often Talk Fantasy Football includes the list of who's signed up already. Do you ever look down a list and think, brilliant, no one I know, I can go and dominate that one? Not a motivator for anyone here today. Brilliant.
The exact opposite. So initially, right, but not last year. Right? Yeah. Initially, I wouldn't have known who half of you are anyway, frankly. So it's bit, but no, I think once you get past that initial bit and you start winning at least games consistently, you want to actually know that you've earned it. I think, right?
Okay. I've got only one more question really I wanted to ask, and then I'm going to do the standard. What else do you want to talk about? Sorry, Greg.
It's about that, the people that you don't know. Like you can go somewhere and play with someone, and like some people have thousands of games on Fumble, and when you play against them, you're like, this guy is very experienced and stuff. Like
absolutely, you should never underestimate anyone in Blood Bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't know what other Blood Bowl they've played and where. They may have played Blood Bowl 3 even and yet still be good at the game.
For decades and stuff, exactly. And especially, if someone looks old, you never underestimate him.
No, I mean, Besters, for example.
For 20 years and stuff.
Yes, well, thank you very much. There are people older than me even playing Blood Bowl.
Yeah, there are. I know many. Yeah.
You're not making friends
But
here.
their experience is
Shots fired.
Now, we've talked about one. I want to talk about another. So, Peter D., legend of the German Blood Bowling scene, and a lovely, lovely man. I don't know anyone that's ever met him that would say any different. In England, we have Lycos, another legend of the Blood Bowl scene. Probably, and I'm seeing blank looks on all of your faces. That's because I think since the pandemic, he's stepped back a lot from Blood Bowl. He was a man responsible for turning the NAF into what it is today. Took an organisation that was sort of dribbling along, professionalised it, made it organised, helped. I don't think Blood Bowl would be anywhere near where it is without Lycos. Sadly, his idea of a computer is something that other people use whilst he looks confused in the background. So I've tried so hard to get him on the show. One day I'm sure I'll be able to, but he just keeps running scared from it. So maybe one day we'll have Lycos. But when I was looking back doing some research for this, because I don't just make it up as I go along. I mean I do, but sometimes I do a little bit of research. I looked at who'd played how many games over the years, because I thought this must be new, this concept of playing hundreds of games. It's not, you know. Despite the fact that we live in Blood Bowl's golden age, despite the fact there's more Blood Bowl around, more tournaments you guys can get to, I tell you what, you've got it easy. But Lycos and Peter D, for a decade, were regularly doing 100+ tournaments each. Back when that meant going to every tournament there was in the UK, in Europe. They probably made some up that didn't exist just to get that number up. And you'll find that, you know, Peter D in, say, 2011 and then again in 2019 had the most tournaments played. Lycos again has 3 years where he had the most tournaments played, and they're separated by several years in between. These guys kept the numbers up, kept the reps up, and kept them up for a decade. Now, they're both gentlemen of a certain age, older even than me, older than most countries, younger than most mountains. Do you think in 10 years' time you're still going to be putting the reps in? Do you think there'll be another year where you hang on, this year I need to go hard, I need to really do some games? Can you see yourself still doing, even if it's not 100, even if it's, say, 80 games of Blood Bowl in 2035? What does the future hold for your Blood Bowl? How much are you going to be playing, do you think, when we get to the future? Talk.
I guess it depends on whether they do end up nerfing vampires or not. But seriously,
rule sets will change. Blood Bowl will be different.
It will, and I think if anything, that actually makes it more likely, right? Because one of my favorite things about Blood Bowl is looking at a thing that I haven't looked before and be like, right, how can I make this work? Right, where does this piece need to go? And what skill do I put on that? And once you've said it many times that the previous rule set was all like stale and ossified, and
It was.
yeah, and I think the moment that happens is when I start dropping off. But if they keep changing it, brilliant. I get to learn a new meta over and over again. So no, if that keeps happening, no, I'll still be here in 10 years. I hope. If my liver hasn't given in by that point.
Well, I mean, people have said with this amount of Blood Bowling, are you all suffering alcohol symptoms? Are you just drinking too much as well as playing Blood Bowl?
Yeah, more than I'd like. Yeah.
Chris, have we got you for the future, or is it a new obsession? Are you going to be doing needlepoint in 3 years' time and croquet the year after that, and then crown green bowling when you hit your dotage?
Well, hopefully, I'll touch on all those things, Dave. Obviously, but no, there are certainly no plans as far as having a end goal here. Where I really am enjoying it. Right, again, I can only use parallels. So you said there's some mornings that you get up and you absolutely don't want to go. I always had kind of nervous childhood excited jitters before a basketball game. I had that with golf when I was doing it. I've had it every time I've got up to play Blood Bowl, and the bigger, yes, okay, the more, but yeah, I can see that existing for quite some time. Yeah, I do think, and I was having a discussion with a friend who's competitive but wouldn't know a thing about the idea of Blood Bowl last night, and we were talking about what happens when goals have been achieved. You can always obviously set new goals, but that for me is probably the most dangerous thing as far as me.
Yeah, my lovely French friend Justicium says he's done with Blood Bowl. He won the Euro Bowl, he won the World Cup. He won a Fumble Major, I think, a Chalice on Blood Bowl 2, and decided that'll do. I've done Blood Bowl now. He was part of the coaching squad for the the Euro Bowl win for Team France, but he thinks he's done rolling dice, which is interesting, and maybe one day I'll get to that point. I don't know. Just in passing, before I come to you on this, Grave, we've had a question from Palpatine saying in Spain he used to play every 2 weeks for a tournament. He's now stuck in the Netherlands, where he can only play 5 tournaments a year. Obviously, your lovely partner Torquemada has said that he should come over to England, and I would say that both the South East and London area both have tournament series now. There's a lot of tournaments in both of those areas that are very achievable from Holland. I shouldn't call it Holland, that's one region of the Netherlands, I am aware of that. That is very achievable from the Netherlands. If you want to come over and play with us, you'd be more than welcome. I don't know how much of the show you've been here for, but you should definitely hook up with my friend Grave above me here, who lives in Dusseldorf but plays his Blood Bowl in both Belgium and Holland and the Netherlands and Germany. Again, all of those should be fairly reachable for you. So there must be more Blood Bowl around than just those games in the Netherlands, within reasonably easy reach of you, depending how you define reasonably easy reach. So Grave, I may have made a new friend for you there. That would be nice.
Yeah, thank you.
What do you see yourself in Blood Bowl in 10 years' time? Is this, despite going as hard as you're going, do you think this game has really got you for the long haul now?
Yeah, it's got me, and I hope it still continues going like that. But yeah, we have to see what Games Workshop has for us for the future and stuff, you know?
Well, as
Like,
long as we give them money, they'll give us rules. I guarantee that.
yeah, like I think everyone is talking about the new rule set and stuff that's coming, and I find it very weird that they give threats to the teams. Like, I'm not a big fan of this stuff because now you have most of the teams without threats, and all the new teams are getting threats. And yeah, I'm not a big fan. I find it weird. I would like if they don't do it, but
By
yeah,
threats,
we
do
will
you mean
see.
those unique skills that they're getting?
Yeah, the threats like hit and run,
Yeah.
the illusion is like everything that's a threat. Like I think even the drunkard is a threat. I think
Yeah.
on
Okay.
the Norse. So anyway, yeah, we will
Yeah.
see.
A beer bore given
And,
dauntless by a white
yeah,
dwarf
I'm very afraid about
dodging
the
3 lines on 1 in 36. It terrifies me still.
and yeah, I'm terrified about the Tomb Kings because they are one of my favorite teams, and I don't know what they have for them.
Palpatine, you may well see people in their 70s playing people in their 20s. I go to Bromley next weekend, as I've said. I do hope I once again don't manage to avoid, rather, sitting down playing with Mini Morg, who I think is now 14, maybe 15, but a fantastic young man. Absolute credit to his parents. And I think a fantastic Blood Bowl player. I haven't seen Thomas W for a while, so I don't know if he's gone past him, but there are some really, really good teenage kids playing Blood Bowl. And yet at the NAFC last year, I wasn't there, but I hear both were pipped to the post by one of Stig's children from the after-school punishment Blood Bowl club that he runs there. And indeed, you're bringing young people in, aren't you? You're getting your daughter's boyfriends involved in stuff, aren't you, Chris?
Yeah,
Inveigling the young into our hobby.
He was there today at High Wycombe. And in fact,
certainly was.
what Palpatine says will literally happen because you had him and Demento playing against Bestas and Vulture Squadron. So you had 2 completely different generations playing each other in a
I happen to know Bestas and Vulture Squadron's ages, and I'm not going to give them away except to say they are in their 60s, and those are 2 younger gentlemen in their teens. So yeah, teens versus 60-year-olds is happening right now, and fantastically, I know all of those people, and they can all play good Blood Bowl. So that's lovely to see. It's not something that age is a restriction on.
No, I think particularly with the young guys that you've mentioned there, right? They might be half decent, obviously, or better than half decent, but they know how to compete correctly. For me, Josh Minimorg is a better competitor than a lot of grown men I've played. He knows he can deal with adversity incredibly well. Pick himself back up and still keep going. And I've got to say the same, obviously, for Joseph as well.
Yeah, and I've seen Thomas W.
Made a stern stuff.
It's amazing to me. I've always thought that the risk, the emotional investment, and the risk involved in Blood Bowl would be a barrier to me wanting children involved. But when you see a 13-year-old watch their gutter run a die, wipe a tear away, and go, right, now I'm going to take your ball, that my heart leaps. That's what I want to see in Blood Bowl. And then you see a 40-year-old flip the table over because they can't roll a 2+. Yeah, it turns out maturity isn't just a number, is it? Now,
I think like with sorry, Jake, just quickly with like youth participation and everything, it's generally not the children's fault; it's the adults screaming on the sidelines, which causes the problems. Kids
do
kids
need to
can
stop
compete.
screaming at children when I play them. That's fair. Right, now we do need to wrap this up. Look, this has been incredibly fun, guys. You've convinced me you are not playing too much Blood Bowl. I give you all a pass, despite the stupid amounts of Blood Bowl you played last year. You seem to have survived it. I'm not going to go to bed worried that we're losing you three from Blood Bowl just yet. But what haven't I talked about? What haven't we mentioned that you thought was something to do with this huge number of games? Is there an area we've not touched on? Anything else you just want to talk about to do with this particular way of looking at Blood Bowl? As always, any subject I pick is just another way of talking about Blood Bowl. What else comes to mind that we haven't covered before we all wave and say goodnight? Anything from Torquemada?
Yeah. So the only thing I can think of is because over so many games, so many tournaments, what's the weirdest thing that we've seen happen at a tournament?
Okay.
Awesome.
And well, I don't know if Chris is thinking of something different to what I'm thinking, because but anyway, I think mine is I have seen somebody literally pull out a tournament. I've seen two young girls walk into a Blood Bowl tournament, start hitting on everybody at every table until they hit jackpot, and then in the break between games, making out with that person. And then they went to a hotel that night and were back then the next morning. I have never thought that could happen, but I have seen it happen.
I mean,
Where is that?
I have heard.
Exactly. Yeah. Get yourself out, mate.
I won't give any more details to protect the people involved, although I'm sure that they would be shouting it from the rooftops.
Wow.
But yeah, it can happen.
Don't tell my wife. I have heard of some young people, mostly of the female persuasion, who like to hang out in pubs that they know certain rugby clubs go to after games, thinking that'll be a nice way to find a fit, attractive young man. I wouldn't have thought Blood Bowlers would be, or indeed, a couple of friends of mine used to, when they didn't have a lot of cash in their pocket, would head down to the city on a Friday night, knowing that they would get bought drinks. I wouldn't have thought Blood Bowlers were in that sort of aspirational boyfriend group, really.
Me neither, and yet.
Wow. Okay, well that's a jaw dropper, and yeah, if we don't put the name of the tournament in the show notes, it's just because no one can accommodate 500 Blood Bowlers at one tournament. So I think we might have to keep that one secret. Chris, you can't have seen weirder than that.
I don't think so. No, I think it was last year that a certain gentleman tried to keep pace. Well, in fact, it's happened a couple of times last year that a couple of guys have tried to keep pace in the evening activities, and have either had to withdraw or one of them fell asleep at the table in front of Andy, playing Andy, and fell asleep while he was actually doing it. So yes, look, the
I was tired,
if
right?
you know.
I can keep pace. That's the problem.
You can keep pace, buddy. Yes, I've got no bits in that respect.
There was that one who got arrested as well.
What, during a tournament?
Christ, yeah. Oh yeah.
In between.
Yeah.
In between the day one and day two.
He came directly from the cop shop for game 5.
Brilliant. But he got back for game 5. Only missed one in the morning.
Game 5.
Got his priorities straight. Wow. Grave, what's the weirdest thing you've seen at a tournament then, as we're bouncing this around?
Yeah, luckily enough, nothing so weird like this, guys. So yeah. But yeah, I have nothing to say, to be honest, because I don't pay so much attention. I just play my game and run out and smoke as much as possible, you know.
Okay, I mean, I'm just going to add one little anecdote to that. It's very short, which is possibly the ragiest online coach I've ever known of. A gentleman by the name of Flicky Flack. With some assistance from the rest of us, he went to the same tournament the Twitch Stream Dream Team first went to. Didn't do particularly brilliantly. With a borrowed Khemri team he'd borrowed off me, and yet walked around for 2 days with a huge smile on his face, just loving his Blood Bowl, loving his life. None of us predicted that that would happen. We wondered how long it would be till the table got flipped. And yet, the exact opposite. Take away the computer, put him in the real world. That man was as happy as he could possibly have been playing his Blood Bowl. That amazed me, amazes me still to this day. The only other amazing thing I've seen is that DBG's capable of winning games with knobs, but I guess we all live in this weird world where that happens. Grave.
He beat me the other day online.
I know he's actually very good at Blood Bowl. He knows that. Not everybody knows. I think so. Grave, let's talk to you then. What haven't I talked about? What haven't we mentioned that you want to say before we say goodbye?
Yes. Please, everyone, wash your hands after the bathroom. I've seen who don't, and I know you. Please do.
Yeah, I mean, and deodorant. That's have a shower in the morning and maybe think about deodorant or antiperspirant. These are things that really ought to be normal in the world.
Some people, when they overthink this, they sweat more, and they can't do anything about it. But you can still wash your hands.
Yeah, I think because it's winter, we talked about tournaments needing heaters. Air conditioning or being able to open a window in summer is not a bad idea either. Those tournaments can get funky. Chris, what haven't we talked about that we should before we all wave and say goodbye?
I suppose, right? Like any tournaments that are out there that we haven't been to yet that we really want to go to. I mean, I'm gonna pick off Lutece next year, definitely. But I absolutely want to get out or back to the States at some point for Chaos Cup and the Spike out there. I'd like to go and do the Bash or whatever out in Australia and so on as well. I the travel side of it, yes, okay. I'll quite happily do 3 hours for a game of League Blood Bowl, but it's even better if we're getting to experience different cultures and the people who play this wicked game in those cultures as well.
Top of my list is Thrud. Last year I even organised a holiday, so it definitely wouldn't clash with Thrud, that I would definitely get to Thrud. I bought a ticket the minute they became available, and then got a job meaning I couldn't go to Thrud. So that ticket is held over for this year. This year I will be at Thrud.
You'll love it, Dave.
Work and wife permitting. What's your and then also, Letiche, Bilbao, that one in Portugal in a palace. Yeah, I want to go to that. I want to play Blood Bowl in that palace.
Yeah, I will go to Bilbao this year with our debating.
You are.
Excellent. Fulgenham, I mean, all the big names, Rug Bowl, all those big names from around Europe. I'd love to go to some of those. Dungeon Bowl with my good friend Candlejack and some of my German buddies, who I believe tend to like me. I don't know. But I don't know. I don't care. I want to go to some of those big names. Water Bowl is kind of on the list. Maybe the Welsh Open. I don't know. It's full of Welsh people or English people pretending to be Welsh. One or the other. Talk. Any tournaments you've not been to that are on your list to get to?
Every time I thought of one, either you or Chris said it. So yeah, Rug Bowl, Lutece, the one in Australia and the US. The Palace one, Lucer Bowl, Fulginium.
That's it.
All of those. Bilbao is one that I particularly would like to go to, and we missed out this year. I'm still holding out. I'm holding out hope that maybe by some miracle we get a ticket, but it sounds like such a great, and I love Bilbao. Bilbao is such a cool city.
I didn't know it existed.
And yeah, I'd really like.
There's a north to Spain.
There is.
I'm not sure they let English people go there, but there must be a north.
Yeah. Yeah, some people there would actually object to it being called Spain, but let's not get into that.
Well, the southern bit should basically be called England, shouldn't it?
Yeah, well,
England on the Med.
Yeah, that's where I come from. So yeah.
So we did a swap.
There's a reason.
We sent 1.5
Yeah.
million old British people there, and they sent you.
Yeah.
I'll
I
take
think
it.
I'd like to think that the UK has got the better end of that deal, but then of course I
Yeah,
would
definitely.
say that.
Okay, anything we haven't covered yet? Then it's that time again. Look, guys, it's been absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I also do believe Mina's tip from several episodes ago. If it's a 2-day event, take 2 shirts. And if it's if you know if there's a particular team shirt, wear a t-shirt under it, so that's absorbing all the funk and the sweat. Throw that away, and then you can get away with the same overshirt maybe. But give it the sniff test because no one wants to be unpleasant on day 2 or day 1. There's other people there. I want to play with you. I want to enjoy your company. I don't want to smell you, really, ideally. I think that time has come. Thank you for your company, guys. I think it's been a really interesting way to look at Blood Bowl. I have officially absolved you from having played too much Blood Bowl. But do be careful there because it does burn some people out. Though from Peter D and Lycos we can see it also sometimes doesn't. It is possible to play a lot of Blood Bowl and love your life. But it's also possible it will break you. Careful of that out there. I hope you've enjoyed One World, One Blood Bowl 59. If everyone could wave, helps me find it in the edit. Bye-bye, everyone. See you in
Bye.
2 weeks when we're going to be running a quiz show. Because why not do something
Ooh.
completely different when people got used to us doing one thing? Bye now. Okay, that's the point at which we'll edit. So that's the end of the show.